Good morning, everyone. Sejam muito bem-vindos.
Welcome.
Embrace the Future Life.
This event is being transmitted in Portuguese with simultaneous translation into English. You can click Languages on
Portuguese with simultaneous translation into English. To access the English version, click on the language button on the left top of your screen. I will start to speak in Portuguese from now on.
My name is Adalgisa Pires, a journalist, and I was invited to mediate a conversation. I already beforehand would like to thank you. It's a satisfaction having you connected for this presentation of Amaggi to talk about its commitments with the future, a sustainable future. So embrace the future. This event receives this name for two very important reasons. First of all, because Amaggi understands that it has to embrace the future to guarantee that new generations and ours may feel welcomed in the plan. And second, for the race was highlighted. Why? Because this future can be the one we want to experience. We need speed to have clear results of short, medium, and long term. So Amaggi is a Brazilian company with operations globally, more than 40 years in the market, in energy, origination, process, and transportation of grains and fibers, more than 7,000 employees with great landmarks, with great results for the company, respect to the people and the way of doing business along its trajectory. It went through important steps to have its value asserted. First company who had the certification of the Round Table on Responsible Soy. It's a model company in the conference Rio Plus 20 on the panel about sustainable agriculture and having its main leaders in the Compact Leaders Summit of the UN. In 2007, it launched sustainability, giving transparency to the strategy of the company to all its stakeholders. Amaggi recognizes its role in the agribusiness and new global challenges. That's why it's want to go beyond. This is what we're going to talk about now. First of all, we're going to see the challenges of ESG with the perspective of Amaggi and a representative from the financial sector. Then we have the commitment of Amaggi with the future, especially climate and forest. And finally, the presentation of actions and platforms developed by Amaggi to reach its commitments and communicate clearly to society the results obtained. In addition to the difficulties that have been faced and overcome, we will have space for questions and answers, and your participation is more than welcome. We will have a button, a link available on the platform right below the screen, the transmission screen, so you can give us our feedbacks and you can ask questions. Now, officially, to give the welcome, the CEO of Judinei Carvalho de Souza.
Thank you very much, Adalgisa. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for taking part in this meeting. This is a very special time for Amaggi because we're going to render public what we already do and which is present in our DNA, that is our socio-environmental commitments needed for our common future. A well-treaded path have its eyes set on the future, however, without forgetting the present and attention to the transformations which bring with it many challenges. Over my 30 years at Amaggi, I'm proud to say that we have always been open to dialogue and that we are always willing to listen. We have focus, determination, resilience, and we work tirelessly to achieve our goals. When I think of sustainability, I think of the way we conduct our business, our relationships with stakeholders, and our operations. We know that perennity doesn't come just from numbers, but also from the way how these numbers are made. The idea here today is, in this special moment, all of us together, is to bring a little of what we have accomplished, analyzed, and discussed throughout Amaggi's story. I hope you enjoy what we're going to present. I would like to take advantage of this opportunity to invite you all to come together to the future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Judine. After lots of work, this event will bring important information on how much you are committed with the future, with the sustainable future. Let's go on with our event. Yes, many have heard about ESG, an acronym for environment, social, and governance. So this is a fundamental concept to guarantee sustainable growth of the companies. And to talk about this topic, we're going to invite the CFO of Amaggi, Dante Pozzi. He's going to come. I think we're going to share the screen with him. These three letters. Hello, yes, I'm here with you. Welcome. And I start by saying that we're talking about ESG. These three letters really enter the vocabulary of the financial world and business in general. You've been for a long time in the financial market and you're completing your 10 years with Amaggi. My question to start this dialogue, Amaggi, is it prepared for the new ESG challenges? Could you tell us about what's coming along?
Yeah, sure, pleasure. In 2021, the president of Amaggi, and before that we knew, we were conscious, we were aware of that agenda, which is being developed within Amaggi up to now. When we talk about the company, I make two connections. I make the first connection with the business, another connection with the financial area. As most of you know, we have a business platform. We're producers, we are originators, we are logistic operators, and we generate energy. And we want to believe in the company that within these four platforms, we have an energy synergy that brings value to our business. When we speak about synergy, this is key for our operation. And in the same way, when we see the agenda, this synergy is always present. If you take, for example, the global agreement in 2017, we committed to this pact, which became the 2025 agreement then. We organize innovation, the supply chain, etc., and those actions of ESG permeate all those areas. And there is a synergy combined of all these platforms. For example, the original platform that Juliana is going to speak about it later, it's a geospatial platform that started with the innovation to coordinate the supply chain, and the evolution of that platform, which with market intelligence will help us to comply with our goals. So when we combine ASG with the business, we're talking about synergy. That's one thing. But when we speak about ASG, as I believed in the financial area, the word that comes to mind is transparency. And when I say transparency, I'm not talking about something that includes everything, includes the financial area, include presentation to investors, our sustainability reports and all other initiatives, but I'm talking about something which goes beyond, which is broader on how the company communicates with the internal and external public, with transparency to show what we have to develop, where we are happy, and where we should improve. It's through this conversation, through this active listening that we practice all the time, that we are able to learn and develop all instances and commit ourselves, and we are aligned with the ideas of the company on what the company says and what the company does. This is a sort of commitment we assume through this transparency and this way of communication. I want to give you one or two examples, which are two operations that we performed during the year and that give us $1 billion in revenue. First was we listed the company in the stock exchange, and this involves very important banks. These two operations were great ventures. We had to take a look with our partners, the diverse aspects of our company, the staff, the financial part, the climatic and socio-environmental agenda. And we have a frank communication with our partners in order to develop the aspects of these two operations, which in terms of number speak by themselves. The way we came out of this process was very successful. We became stronger, and we are more convinced on what we have to do. So there is a learning process that we can only do it through transparency. In both operations, we had a sustainability framework which defined our way to proceed. This framework was built through lots of debate to understand what sort of lines we should commit to and which makes sense in the context where we are. This commitment that will be presented further on, we have debated tirelessly internally to build this commitment, which we understand that are not words on paper, but are robust attitudes to meaning what we're going to do in the next few years. So we take about energy on the one side and transparency within the financial area. So the moral, Juliana is going to present this commitment to you, so I would like to call a person that which is a dear person to me, a great friend with a great trajectory in the company, and who understands a lot about the financial sector, with whom I have a very beautiful relationship in the long term. So I want to present everybody. Fabiana Alves, please.
Of course. Thank you, Dante, for everything you have advanced here, inviting her, Fabiana Alves, for a conversation with Dante about some fundamental topics for the agribusiness, more than SG than ever. She is executive director, corporate clients of the Robobank area that really meets companies of the agribusiness. And she was director at the Rural Bank. The executive accumulates experience in agricultural production. She also managed the area of rural consultancy with a focus in governance management and strategic plan. And she has a post-graduation in business administration by the FGV, and she has a graduation from the agronomic engineering at Viçosa. Be very welcome, Diana Fabiana. And she has also another degree from the University of California. Thank you very much.
I would like to ask you if you could tell us how do you see the bank is part of our partnership, so what do you see within this agenda regarding financial institutions and the advance of Rabobank especially?
Well, good morning to all. Thank you. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here with Dante. We are partners. We've been partners for a long time. The financial industry has a role, in my opinion, that goes beyond encouraging the ESG with taxes and timeframes and differentiated resources. We have to encourage good practices in the agenda to guarantee sustainability, guarantee the confidence of our investors. For this, we need to encourage the use of standards, metrics, certification standards that can guarantee the transparency you were talking about, that may allow us to monitor and capture the benefits that are connected to these indicators that who on their turn are also linked to ESG and all that is involved. It is a great responsibility for the financial industry to be focused on additionality. We have to invest in what goes beyond regulation, beyond what is expected, beyond what is being done already. This is a path that trailed us to achieve the commitments of the Paris Agreement. How the world has been operating today, we can't reach that, so we need additionalities. And in this sense, I'm so proud to be here today talking to you from Amaggi. Yes, Rabobank is a front runner, but Amaggi shows that it also is. Amaggi is a client, has been a client for a long time, and this dialogue about sustainability is part of our DNA, and we brought this dialogue when it was still very exotic in the financial industry. We brought this to our conversation, our talks with our clients, establishing and positioning ourselves as partners in the agenda, establishing clear goals with a rating of sustainability in parallel to the credit rating. To be a front runner, we have to guarantee that this dialogue takes place. So to have this conversation, understand the planning of the ESG agenda within the strategic planning, and encourage this agenda to be part of the business, not a parallel agenda. This is mandatory in the Rabobank, and we are measured for this. We are measured to help our clients to improve the sustainability agenda. So our portfolio can also improve in terms of sustainability, and we can be at the top of the list of the most sustainable banks in the world.
Okay, from on the side of Amaggi, we relate to 40 financial institutions, and everybody somehow moved, so the bank started moving years ago. So I understand what you're saying. I think it's a trend of the industry to move in that direction. Now I want to ask you regarding our side, from the agro-food chain, How do you see this commitment with this ESG agenda?
Well, we're the greatest exporter of food in the world. Therefore, we are the targets. We have to be a benchmark. Rabobank was a benchmark in this agenda. And Amaggi is a benchmark in the sector. And Brazil has to be a benchmark. We only will reach this if we have the ESG agenda incorporated to the agro. This will maintain our license to operate as the greatest provider of food in the world vis-a-vis society globally. So basically, we have to embrace, as you are doing, this agenda that Rabobank has been embracing always, and Amaggi as well. And the importance of this public commitment of Amaggi within the agro is enormous because Amaggi is a reference. It's a step we're making to become a benchmark as a country, as Brazilian agribusiness for food to the world. There's no agro without ESG, and ESG cannot be a differential. It is essential now for all sectors, especially for agro, which is an extremely dependent sector of the impacts that can reach us. We have to embrace the ESG agenda with great determination to achieve what we have to achieve.
I see that too. In this, the investor as steering this behavior is not just one more chapter at the end of the presentation. It is a theme that comes in the beginning of the presentation, and we have seen that how important it is with so many investors. Fabiana, thank you for this brief conversation. Thank you for your time and for your insights on the financial market.
I'm inviting Juliana Lopes, Director of ESG, Communication and Compliance, and she will present these commitments and take us to some very important reflections. Welcome, Juliana. Now, yes, you're here. See, I'm so anxious. There's so many things that we have to approach. I was already talking about climate, cerrado, and forest. Be very welcome. Thank you very much, Adalgisa. It's many topics, yes, when we talk about climate issues, the forest issues, we are anxious about. At this moment, I would like to say good morning to everybody, thank and say that we're so happy with this live. The commitments we're going to present today, they are a result of great dedication, dialogue, discussions. It was part of a process of lots of conversations, talks with people that think like us, and also especially people who think differently. We studied, we created, designed many scenarios, pilots, and tests to identify our delivery capacity and the scalability of this capacity. We really discussed a lot about having all the data available and sometimes not being sure if we would have all the information to take on all these commitments. We reflected about the importance of being clear and transparent, what is feasible, what we can deliver with the pride we deliver. And it's not only just signing a commitment. A commitment is not just signing. It's a way of doing things and doing the deliveries and be clear with everybody who is around us. We also talked about fear. the fear of not being able to reach some of the results we were proposing. We have some difficulty to lead with fear. And for companies, this is even more difficulty. How can I say something? How can I dive into the future long term without knowing what is going to happen? This is part of the embrace the future. It's really to embrace, take care of the future with all the uncertainties that this future presents. Exactly for this, we have the race. Because of these uncertainties, we have the certainty that running or racing comes first place to have a future that is possible and sustainable. In this moment, I am proud to declare that Amaggi is committed to reach zero emissions by 2050. We are in the science-based targets through the campaign of business ambition for 1.5. And with this, we're also part of the Race to Zero global movement. After that, I'm going to tell you how we're going to reach that. I would like to see the Carlo Pereira video, director of Brazilian network of the pact, the UN pact, and he's leading part of the process in Brazil.
Hello, Maggi family. It's great to be here with you on this very special day. I'm Carlo Pereira, Global Compact Brazil Network Executive Director, and I want to talk a little about carbon and climate change. You submitted a commitment to the SBTI, Science-Based Targets Initiative, which is an initiative establishing targets to reduce greenhouse gases based on science. This is what society wants. We have seen all the effects of climate change very clear, and there is a very strong, very clear pressure on the part of society so that companies come forth and set goals based on science so we can change this game. How important is SBTI? Many people are setting goals, often including carbon neutrality, etc., but not backed on science, without having a plan underpinning all this. So what we need, and this is what society wants, that companies, as well as you're doing now, because you're leaders, that they establish commitments or assume commitments with an institution like the SBTI, which is a global compact initiative, and the CDP, WWF, WRA, which will look at these goals, will help in the elaboration and monitoring of these goals. This is seriousness. This is ambition, an ambition that we need so that we can change this game regarding climate change.
As you saw in this video, this moment is unique in society. For us to maintain the climate balance that is necessary, all companies need to do their part. My happiness to announce our commitment is summed to the fact that we are the first Brazilian company of grains to assume this commitment. It's pride, but also great responsibility. We know it's hard work, but the carbon agenda is not new in Amaggi. We were the first company to work in the development of the GHG protocol, and we are in scope 1, 2, and 3 complete. In 2019, we launched a second study of a carbon footprint from production to focus in Europe. We compared our own agriculture with soybean, cotton, and we verified that our footprint was the smallest in all scenarios, including with productive countries that are closer to the ports analyzed. We have invested a lot in technology and research in the field, precision agriculture, biological contact, removal and fixing carbon in the soil. Everything helps us to know which are the main stages of and the main steps of the process and have emissions reduced and how. It is important to reinforce that in a short time we will have the guidelines of the SBTI flag forest, land and agriculture, and we've been talking with many players that the flag be also suitable to tropical agriculture. This is a fundamental point for us to start a large-scale operation. Another very important point of this strategy is investment in regenerative agriculture, and we will be operating with many partners to reach the best concept and practices to reach it. These challenges show us the importance to reach the best concept and practices to reach it. I would like to thank you very much, Juliana, for being here and bringing up all these challenges. And it shows the importance of every company in the climate agenda, especially in the agriculture industry. How important it is to have companies that really decide to operate in an assertive manner and constructive manner. The challenge is not only this one, right, Juliana? There's a topic that always emerges in the agribusiness, the forest, the cerrado, the issue of nature itself, the protection of native areas. What can you tell us about this? Well, Adalgisa, yes, we know. For us, it was very clear to talk about climate balance without talking about the protection of the forest. And when I talk about protection of the forest, I'm not talking only about the region of forest, but all the biomes of native vegetation. It's important to have the certainty that we will be working on more important points to combat deforestation and also how to improve the production process. We are reinforcing a commitment with a chain free of deforestation and conversion. We will have a chain of suppliers, 100% monitor, free of deforestation and conversion, considering all the biomes. I think it is important also to highlight our commitment to maintain all our own farms free from deforestation since 2008 and guarantee expansion only in already opened areas. For the commitment, it is important to have the plan very clear. Our plan is very clear with well-established dates. This year, the goal is to reach 100% traceability of our suppliers in the Amazon and Cerrado biomes. And you see that we're very close to this. In 2022, we will reach 100% of traceability in our direct suppliers. In 2025, we will have total traceability of direct and indirect in all the locations we operate, reinforcing that our purchase of grains really meet our criteria, social, environmental, and reaching the green protocol of Pará and the soy moratorium. We are in the third edition, and we will include as a reference date 2020 to check the incidence of deforestation and conversion detected. To take on these commitments, we have been working in our geospatial platform for monitoring. It has become a great tool for business intelligence, with a system built with many hands, many brains, and lots of sweat. A joint construction, very strong in the areas of sustainability and origination. A great partnership with this area. I have to thank them all the time because they've been working a lot in the perspective of this growth. Now I would like to present to you
Geospatial monitoring technology, supplier social environmental assessment, traceability and origin guarantee, risk and opportunity management, information management. This is Origina 2.0, a comprehensive tool that combines monitoring and traceability of the grain chain with business strategy. Origina was launched in 2017 as a social environmental monitoring system, which assisted in checking information from producers and their areas regarding the company grain purchase criteria. Now with Origina 2.0, in addition to checking social environmental criteria, the tool also supports business expansion, managing marketing risks, and mapping marketing opportunities. The system is customized and meets all of Amaggi's grain supply chain particularities. It also has updated satellite images and web and mobile versions, which facilitate data collection and usage in the field. In addition to the automated verification of social environmental veto criteria, the tool allows for better management of farms that supply grains to the company, bringing transparency to areas at risk and areas free from restrictions. It also allows for generating indicators in the municipalities where it operates, data on producers and farms, in addition to the certified chain. In addition, the Social Environmental Department assists in pledge analysis, allowing Amaggi to have greater guarantee in the credit operations carried out by the company with the rural producer. With Origina, social environmental issues are allowed to be used as part of the company's intelligence expansion and positioning strategy. It also offers more security and credibility in trading with a completely responsible origination. Origina, innovation and traceability, ensuring grain origin sustainability.
Well, as I said previously, we are in the third edition of our progress report and shows our performance vis-a-vis a commitment with a chain that is free of deforestation and conversion. I would want to use this moment to give you some spoilers. This is a way of showing to you the results that we have already reached. Data, information that is available for us are the basis for any commitment. There's no way I can bring some information here of what we're going to reach in the future if I don't know the data of the future. In the next slide, you can see with the Originat, we reached the coverage of 100% of our operation in the biomas Amazon and Cerrado. We have more than 15,000 rural environmental registers, and it represents more than 5,000 properties, more than 15,000 hectares of area. We're saying that more than 1,500 countries, almost 6 million, is area of native vegetation. And with this information, part of our assessment process, I can show you also some more results. Do you remember when I said that our goal for 2021 was to reach 100% of traceability of our direct suppliers? We have reached 99% of this monitoring. We also were able to increase traceability and monitoring of our indirect suppliers, and we have reached 30% with all the information generated. We also can assert that 99% of our volume of monitored soybean, monitored and traced by Amaggi, be them direct or indirect, are free of deforestation conversion since 2017. In addition to this, we don't identify deforestation and conversion in the direct suppliers. We continue with all our suppliers in compliance with our criteria that are social, environmental, and institutional, such as soy moratory and the Green Protocol of Pará. I would like to open a parenthesis to highlight two organizations. The first is Proforest, especially Isabella and Jane, who analyzed our commitment and our policies, made several considerations that helped us improve our report. And Imaflora, especially Sandro, Cecilia, and Isabel, that in the pilot project of verification based on the accountability framework, evaluated our commitments and our report transparency in our progress report. And as we always say, nothing of this is possible if we don't have many partners with whom we exchange and share lots of knowledge and experience. Many lines of partners in different jurisdictions, expansion in open areas, fighting against illegal deforestation, financial mechanisms, and others. Many partnerships. We have a lot to thank because we always learn greatly. Now, I would like you to look at the last column, new products and solutions. It's a guarantee of origin program. Origins is being launched today. It's a result of all our learning with many partners, with robust investment in technology and tests. Many processes. Origins delivers all results that we presented now to our clients with information about carbon stock, carbon inventory, and we also have been working in new stages of development that will bring information about the carbon footprint identification, the deforestation, the shortest real time possible, and possibility for blockchain. Now, let's see our new baby.
We all have the same origins. And how we cope with such says a lot about who we are. Consumers, markets, the world demands increasingly socially and environmentally responsible products. And that is why we are here, to highlight those who have good origins. Origins is a program to guarantee sustainable grain origin, free from deforestation and conversion of native vegetation. It works via satellite image analysis, ensuring compliance with Amaggi's social environmental criteria, confirmation of protected native vegetation area, and their corresponding carbon stock. A platform 100% digital with no need for physical inspection on each farm, allowing for high scalability of demand. All with reliability attested by third-party audits. In addition, Origins guarantees product traceability from the farm to its destination. Origins works in compliance with strict deforestation and conversion-free rules recommended by stakeholders and can meet specific cut-off date demands. Production with a guaranteed origin is transported through several logistic routes, fulfilling demands from the Brazilian and international markets. Amaggi has a strong commitment to achieve a deforestation and conversion-free chain. Origins offers this solution to the most demanding markets connected with this commitment. Thus, we all need to be in tune with our roots. Origins by Amaggi.
Well, Juliana, it is very clear now about the commitments you have in regards to climate and forests. You really know the path you want to trail. But before we go to Q&A, there's another thing that is intriguing. We talk a lot about ESG. The commitment presented up to now are more connected to the E of the environmental. What about the S for social and G for governance? What could you tell us about this? Well, Adalgisa, yes, we talked a lot internally. ESG is really the fashionable acronym. It's very strong because it shows that sustainability issues need predictability, metrics, evaluations. We heard from Fabiana that metrics is extremely important because it guarantees that you think about the future, but the way you're structuring your plan. We brought these four first approaches. When you look at the environmental column, when you look at the slide we present, what we have brought up to now with the four first, but then we included another one in the environmental, that is issue of our commitment to maintain ourselves as self-sufficient in terms of our production and production of energy. Few know that we are self-sufficient in renewable energy. Our vision is that sustainable development only exists if the social issue is connected to the environment, vice versa. Therefore, in the next slides, I'm going to talk about the social and then about governance. In the social aspect, it's my background. I think I like to bring this. My education came from the social area greatly, so I really learned how things connect. We're here in the social part, committing to prioritize projects in the most strategic territories for the business, with the audience a greater vulnerability. We're going to increase significantly the number of capacity building and training by the university, the Amaggi University. The idea is that this capacity building be integrated to business, but also integrated to the local development. Our focus will be on decent labor. We will strengthen initiatives for the agricultural development, especially family agriculture and women agriculture. And we have been already respecting and promoting human rights, especially of indigenous people and traditional communities. We will also guarantee and encourage a healthy environment that prioritizes safety, security, quality of life, and well-being of collaborators and third parties. When I look at this in the social part, comes my governance part. In the next slide, you can see how we have been working on goals and actions until 2030. It's a process more and more focused on demands and relevant issues for our stakeholders. The idea is to be clear for each one who is surrounds us, what are our challenges, what are our weaknesses, and what are our strengths. We have a great difficulty in talking about weakness, but everybody, every human being, when it starts looking inside, discovers what it has, becomes more strong in knowing how to act and how companies have to do. We will implement the diversity, having the social inclusion. We will continue guaranteeing the improvement of our corporate and our involvement with all stakeholders. I have more than 15 years of Amaggi. We learn a lot, and we learn much more with those who think differently from us. It doesn't mean that we have to find a consensus, and it doesn't mean that we need to work in all the fronts, but in what we believe and what we are capable to construct. No doubt it is necessary, and to end, we will maintain our channel open and our channel woman recently created. It is a way of working with agro. It's a way of looking at the challenges of the future and looking at 2030, but thinking that it's a short time at our door, and this 2030 that we want to deliver, not only for the future generation, but for us, because I will be living in this planet for a long time, I hope, as well as many collaborators and everybody. The perennity of the company is a process of working on what is important for now, but also looking at 2030, 2035, 2040 and 2050, when I really hope that Amaggi can deliver all the result and with its role, a better environment. Now, Adalgisa, it's with you. Juliana, thank you. Thank you very much for being with us to reveal so many novelties to us. We're going to accompany the following years of Amaggi to see about the evolution of the commitments. And when you reach the goals, the gains will be for the entire society. To close the presentation, ESG and global. We will have Gonçalo Gabir, first champion for the COP25, named by the presidents of the Chilean COP, and the framework, totally involved in climate change. He's co-founder of Triciclos, System B, Alcura. He supports the development of B Corps, and now he's also support the global agenda of green hydrogen, the regenerative.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gonçalo Muñoz. I am the United Nations High-Level Climate Action Champion for COP 2025, and together with my friend Nigel Topping, the High-Level Climate Action Champion for COP 2026, we have bringing together leadership and support from actors beyond national governments, such as businesses, states, cities, regions, investors, and civil society for the recovery, which avoids future threats, creates decent jobs, and unlocks unique and sustainable growth. This is done through two global campaigns supported by the United Nations: the Race to Zero campaign, which currently mobilizes a coalition of initiatives in which all members are committed to the same comprehensive goal to quickly and fairly reduce emissions in all scopes, in line with the Paris Agreement, with transparent action plans and robust short-term goals. Its sister campaign, Race to Resilience, was launched at the Climate Adaptation Summit earlier this year to unleash radical change in the global ambition of climate resilience, putting people and nature first in the quest for a resilient world where it doesn't let us only survive the climate shocks and stresses, but prosper despite them. Collectively, these two major campaigns, Race to Zero and Race to Resilience, already account for 15% of the global economy, 7% of emissions, and almost 1 billion people impacted. Climate and biodiversity crises are deeply connected and can be addressed simultaneously for a positive future for a zero-carbon nature. We must raise awareness of this key role that food and agriculture must play on the path to keeping us 1.5 degrees by 2050 and ensure that more financial incentives are available for this challenge. With less than 50 years to go before COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, the latest message from the world's leading scientists couldn't be clearer. We can't delay action any longer. And that's why I celebrate today's step taken by Amaggi, publicly committing to 1. Decarbonization strategies aligned with the Science Based Targets Initiative, promoting low-carbon regenerative agriculture and protecting biodiversity. 2. Be free from deforestation and conversion in agricultural production on Amaggi farms. 3. Track and monitor their entire grain supply chain and ensure that it also is free from deforestation and conversion. 4. That all this is done respecting and encouraging employees, suppliers, small rural producers, indigenous peoples, and traditional communities. We are in a race for a healthier, fairer, and more resilient and decarbonized world. That's what the Race to Zero and Race to Resilience are all about. 2021 is a critical year for climate action. It must be a broad economic imperative, also driving economic recovery as we emerge from COVID-19. We need extreme radical collaboration, transparency, and society-wide approaches to transform the economy and accelerate Race to Zero in a fair way. Climate action is no longer a purpose, it's a condition, it's a moral duty, and it should be part of all successful metrics. Therefore, businesses like Amaggi that publicly commit to measuring and reporting to the highest standards and criteria are critical to this transformation to take place, and therefore a clear example that leadership is no longer part of the problem, but it's part of the solution. I simply want to close my congratulations to Amaggi and those involved in this commitment. We have a lot of work to do. Let's continue together because we must speed up our Race to Zero and resilience. Thank you very much.
Very interesting to see this path for sustainable futures. Great responsibility in our part. Here's the moment where we count on your participation. Some space for doubts and comments, having your feedback. Representatives of Amaggi are here to create this sharing space. You can still send your questions and comments to the link you have in the transmission screen. Again, with me, Dante and Juliana, we have some questions already. And the first one is for Juliana, Director of ESG and Compliance. Amaggi presented very bold goals. What's the strategy of the company to reach these goals? Well, as I said, the question of having goals is to know the results you have now. I don't see we are constructing something different. We are in a race because we know how important it is to have faster results. We know that to show the numbers we have, be very clear to society, and show all our talents and make our challenge is very clear. It's extremely important. The goals are for 2025, 2030, but we have goals for this year. We reached 99%. We don't know if we will reach the 100%, but this 1% will make us run a lot to get there. And we are going to tell what we managed and did not manage to achieve. We will be transparent with society. That's why I understand that in this moment, when we take on a commitment, we are bringing to society the importance of companies saying, yes, I have a commitment, I have results achieved, and guarantee to me that I have how to create and bring important issues for the future, but also to work jointly. We can't do this together. So it's the moment where we bring our challenges and put them on the table, and we call all our partners to come with us. Thank you, Juliana. Next question is for Dante. Boss, you mentioned the issuing of the first sustainability bond of Amaggi. How much was it worth for the company with the commitments of things to be achieved? Do we have more bonds to be launched?
Thank you. It was very worth it. It was an mission that we prepared over the last few years to reach the market, which is so demanding. It's a very demanding market in the financial aspect, and together with this ESG agenda. So we reached the trustworthiness or the trust of this market. We want to continue. We want to have these instruments, try to search and to get closer to our investors. We are, as our philosophy over the last few years, we want to be close to the banks, which have been the great investors on our business, and we have a vision which is equivalent for the investors, for the capital market. We want to get closer to them, and we want them to know the way we work, we operate, and so we have this intention. So in terms of the future of the company, this future will be based on the support of the investors. So yes, we want to stand closer to our investors along the future years, and we want to have an agenda. We're thinking of the future frameworks. It is a way with no return. We entered the capital market, and we will continue progressing in such market.
Thank you very much. There are many questions coming here. I would like to say that you still can send your questions, your comments about everything we've been talking this morning. And so please feel comfortable. Sometimes the question has a direction, it's meant to somebody, but if somebody else wants to join. So, Juliana, the question is, I would like to know how the management of landscape have been helping in the ESG policies. Question of somebody who knows about the challenges. I think that we are migrating to some processes and evaluations as society and as a company as well. Before we had a discussion focused on a supply chain, guaranteeing that the process was okay, how it's moving in terms of delivery. But when you assume goals for 2030, 2050, you look at the entire process. There's no way your company being okay if the environment is not correct. The investment cannot happen only on the day-to-day in its business and where it's inserted, developing its activities. You have to look at the environment as a whole. I always say that deforestation, for example, is a critical factor for agribusiness, although we know that the greatest point of discussion is illegal deforestation. This has been attacked by society as a whole. When I look at the company, I look at Amaggi, and I see that I already have 99% zero deforestation since 2017 without any detection by 2020. I've done my part, but I'm in an environment where in the future my expansion depends on this place, this location being okay. We're working with jurisdictions, partnerships with the government of Mato Grosso, thinking about public policies, looking at the format of controls, and also how you can create a process to guarantee the recognition on paper of the role of each one. We talk about traditional communities, indigenous communities, they have their role. It is important, extremely important to recognize this, but we have to recognize the role of producers. When I look at the size of the area with 15 million hectares, 6 million is native vegetation. Look at the role of this farmer. It's gigantic. He has an area. He needs this area for production, but it needs recognition in society. It's not just a tap on your back. We have to have a financial recognition, acknowledgement for farmers who are preserving. When you look at the institutional role, you look at your operations, the state as a whole, the country as a whole. A company cannot think only about itself. It has to look towards all operation. Otherwise, it doesn't have perennity. So this challenge is part of us building the goals for 2030 and 2050. So many questions are coming here. You talk about 2030. There's a question about this. You really see how many collaborators are committed to this. Oh, 7,700. I like to say this, and I think it is important to bring this, because if ESG is only of one area, it doesn't work. There's no way it can work. For example, original. The area of origination as a whole is ESG. We can't think differently. It's a process. We cannot be different. When you look at how we structure all this, we have a robust structure. We have a very strong operation, knowing our processes, our operations, and how we bring this, how we bring it out. The great important processes in being agricultural producer, and we are also when we know about the agricultural production, we sweat to have licensing in our hand. We know what the producer, the farmer is facing. When I see it as a company of trading, and I will make a work for origination from a supplier that I will buy soy from, I know his pains. And when I say all employees, I have no doubt that is the pure truth. The area of sustainability, together with compliance, all the activities, with evidence in ESG, we are saying that there are more than 70 people directly involved in the headquarters or the units, but 70 people is almost a swallow. It doesn't make summer. So once we have this question answered, one question would be for Dante now. How do these new commitments, how do they help?
Well, this sense is something that Fabiana, it has to do with Fabiana said. This is going to be the rule of the game to advance our business. It will be the way that to lead a sustainable business, we want to capture value, of course. As we said before, this is our goal. We have to look for synergies among the different areas of the company, including the corporate area, and we want to have products and services that can participate in the market. So I bring together these two things. What Fabiana said, which is this is the condition to progress in the future, and the opportunities that come up when we can commit with those phases. This is the two situations we see. We have market opportunities to capture following this agenda, but even if we didn't have them, we should have to comply with them anyway.
Agradecer também os inúmeros elogios que nós estamos recebendo. Muito obrigada aí em nome da Amaggi, né? E agora eu vou seguir, Juliana, mais perguntas aqui para você.
Questions for
Qual a
you.
razão da escolha do ano de
What's the
2020 para
reason
relatório de
for the choice of
desenvolvimento e não uma data de
2020
marca
for the
nacional?
report of
Inclusive,
development,
pelo exemplo
not
aqui,
a
2012,
national
que houve
date
o
like
Código Florestal e
2012 with a new forest code and the scenario since then? Well, we have some ways of working. A good part of our structure is in exports, and we have seen great commitments international with evaluations in regards to this date. When you look at the progress or development report we bring 2017, that was when we launched our positioning for sustainability. You will see landmarks that are important in 2017 and landmarks for 2020, because this is a date in which international marks have been working. We are working on origins for it to be customized. It's a delivery for each client we have. We want to understand a lot what the commitments of the client are. This is the commitment of being the best partner our client can have, to answer all the doubts he has, help him answer what are the demands he receives from society, where we have specific dates. If one client has a date, a commitment for 2019, another one 2018, and one 2009, the origins is ready to deliver. We want to be the best solution for any client that we want to have.
Eu vou acelerar as perguntas aqui, e se vocês puderem ser o mais breve possível, para a gente tentar contemplar o maior número de
I want to
perguntas que estão chegando aqui pra
speed
gente. Vamos lá.
up for us to
Juliana,
contemplate other
qual é o maior
question.
desafio para que a
What's the
comunicação dos
greatest
princípios desse
challenge
permeie por
for
todos os
the
stakeholders?
commits and can permeate through all stakeholders?
Boa pergunta, eu não sei.
Great question. I don't know.
Acho que são vários desafios.
I think it's many challenges, Adalgisa. The first one is to have a society that wants less and less information. We believe also that data is important for you to make a good analysis. So if I had to list it, how can we convey the correct information in the easiest way possible for who's receiving? But we can guarantee that all this information has a baggage, scientific approach to guarantee that those 100 words he's going to receive have an entire base that sometimes like a report of 35 pages. How can we adjust to this new communication? And how can we become more and more digital? We have to go through the entire process, thinking about those who like eye in the eye and those who prefer a message on WhatsApp. Thank you very much. Dante, how do you see the market receiving these new goals and commitments announced today?
Oh, sorry.
Eu acho assim, Adalgisa, assim, é claro que a gente espera que o mercado
We
financeiro
hope
foi fruto de um trabalho enorme. A gente não
We have
foi
done a
primeiro,
huge
tá?
work.
A gente se dedicou para
We
que a gente
built a commitment which we understand is robust and solid. So it's clear that the company is inserted in the market, which is a bigger market all the time. To give you a number, we used to work with 40 financial institutions, and when we came into the capital market, now we relate to more than 200 financial institutions. So how the market is reading us, we are very interested on that. We will try to respond to all questions regarding the financial area, the human resources area. So what I can say is that it's been a job done with a lot of care and effort, discussing each phase of this process, and the way the market reacts defines a lot of things, particularly regarding the financial area. It will say how eager the investors are to receive our emission of bonuses. So the expectation is positive because the job was done very carefully with lots of detail. And some people love metrics more than the financial sector. So this we have substance, so the expectation is very positive, and this opens new possibilities for us regarding raising capital, to get to know new investors, to develop new products and services. We want to do the right thing. This is our desire, our intention, our plan. All good things come together. We are relating to great partners which make feasible new things we haven't thought of before. So the expectation is very positive.
Thank you, Dante. Juliana, considering the goals of ODS to be reached by 2030, how has Maggi been acting with other competitors to collaborate and reach the goals? I think we have to separate some issues. You have competitors when you're dealing about business, when you're talking about partnerships. You cannot have competitors. You have partners. You will have moments where you will compete, but the moments you have to sit at the same table and discuss processes, procedures, the way you're going to act. Some moments we sit together with other companies of the same industry where we discuss forms of operating, special guides for everybody to work in a same format to guarantee a basic evaluation for everybody. And you will have moments where you sit at another table with completely different industries. I had great learning here in the 15 years to sit with a producer, with a farmer, to know the farms. I'm from Rio. I didn't know soybean farms. This is where I learned, with producers that I learned. I started being proud of agribusiness when I sat with everybody and know how much these people have worked to reach this point. I think society has to recognize this process that is built in each farm, but for us to get out of the box and start discussing what people of the city understand about the business. The milk doesn't come in the box. For me, in the beginning, 15 years ago, I didn't understand why you needed so much soybean for tofu. And there are not so many people eating tofu. And then you discover what soybean is for. I think, what are institutions, society institutions worth for? What are they useful for? For us to create consensus and solutions. Well, one more question talking about the goal, net zero. This is for 2050. During this time will be adhesion of compensation through carbon credits or some initiatives in addition to origins to thrive this market, because even if carbon credit can be a commodity for the future, we have to look at all possibilities. When you look at 2050 and say that I have all answers, it's a lie. We can't be sure. I don't know how the next year is going to be. We have certainties all the time, but our work is focused on the maximum we can reduce by 2035, both in our operation and in the operation of partners, not only our own operation, but how we work with our supply chain. The issue of regenerative culture, it's a great focus. It's very important to start working on this. We have to start discussing metrics in terms of tropical agriculture. We have metrics in the G flag that will be the methodology for the agriculture industry. We have to guarantee that this methodology may understand fully the challenges of tropical agriculture. If you have this ready by 2050, that's when you will start working on the challenges of neutralization, focused on carbon credit, focused on our renewable energy operations. So now, if you look at the process as a whole and looking at production with what we consume, it's about 45% that we would need of production. So we are self-sufficient already. We will make an investment in solar energy in our units. When you look at all this, we will have energy. It will be used for part of the compensation to make the neutralization. But no doubt, another focus we see is the capacity of Brazilian producers that they will have to neutralize carbon in their farming operations. We believe with neutral, zero carbon soybean. We've been working with Embrapa and university to have data to show the importance of agricultural production in Brazil and how producers and farmers play their role. A question for both now. The producers are important players in these commitments assumed by the company. What's the message that we could convey to clients that are directly involved in this commitment?
Well, the company sees the producer as a partner, as a great partner. So we have a role in this supply chain. As producers and originators, we play a role to connect those two extremes, to connect them not only regarding the product that we want and what time. This is the role played by a trading company. We buy the product when they need, and we sell it when the buyer wants to get it. So, but the other role the company plays is to take care of values, what the demand establishes as parameters. The company has its own values. We have a conversation with parameters in the market, and we pass those values for our 5,000 partner producers, and a good part of them, we relate to them the whole year. We sell fertilizers, we put pesticides, we put seeds, so we deliver those things to sell soybeans. So we have to help him to understand the context where he operates. We have a way, it's a channel of parameters that the market works with in order to be able to educate our producers. In order for you to sell to my company and to others, you have to educate and not only tell him what he has to do, but to try to instruct the producers on what they have to do and how to do it. There is a lot of things we have to do together. Let's draw up a blueprint so that we build and we train the producer to comply with the parameters that come from the supply chain farther on, and we tell the producers how they should produce, or we try to help them in this sense.
I agree. I agree with Dante. I think we're in the middle. I think it is a force, but a great challenge as well. Sometimes you have a client demand outside, not directly related to us. When we look at the chain as a whole, we supply the soybean, then you have the feed industry, you have a producer abroad, you supply to supermarkets. All these have to be understood. These are the connections we have been making. We understand the rural producer. We want to be as close as possible to him, to understand the challenges in the chain. No, but there are moments where we have discussions and and talks. Understand sometimes the challenge of European supermarkets. They have to understand all the channel, all the chain, but they don't understand everything. The fact that we're in the middle, we have pressure from both sides. Makes us know well both sides and have to deliver this with great credibility. This is the partnership. And to say this, I cannot. I will deliver this by 2024. Okay, this is what we have to work together. We can't be afraid to say that we have difficulties, there are challenges, and we have to deliver since everybody understands, but everybody has to understand its own responsibility. Juliana and Danto, we have time for only one more question. I want to thank your participation, not only you from Brazil. We have many people accompanying our transmission, our event, and all this content. Many countries, Latin America, Europe, and North America, I would like to thank the participation of everyone. Unfortunately, I have to end with one. It's important to see all the comments and all your feedback. Last question is the following. This is interesting because it talks about technology. We didn't talk about this specifically. How does Amaggi see the use of new technologies for its operation, especially in the combat of fires and worth protection, asset protection? The first information we have in terms of technology is what we can verify. Technology improved greatly our way of creating information and reaching results. In terms of fighting deforestation, we are working in the Originar to have information about deforestation and conversion in the shortest time possible. It's not only fighting deforestation. You have to be a partner of the producer. Where I see a focus of fire, there it's fundamental that I warn all producers in the area. So his challenge is not to let this fire reach his farm. And if you look at the format of technology, the technology is inwards, inbound, but it's also outbound for us to deliver our partners and say, we're so worried about your property as much as you. So this is the information we have available. I think technology is going to help us a lot. It's very difficult to understand everything it can deliver, and we depend greatly on public information, where we need the crossing of information. But we are going through a very positive moment of development, and I hope the public policies go through this development and may add to this feedback to producers and clients.
Juliana já entregou tudo, já falou tudo.
Eu acho que o que eu posso adicionar no final é que assim, tecnologia é uma coisa também que permeia toda coisa.
The technology permeates everything.
Faz também com parceria.
So that we do it with partners. we want to have an own team to develop many technological devices, but the technologies are very varied regarding logistics, production, etc. So regarding the socio-environmental aspects, the technology cannot be belong just to one company. We have to share technologies that are developed by other companies, sometimes smaller companies, and we need to unite this in the construction of tools that are broad and useful. And for that, we have to look for partnerships. It's not the company itself that will develop everything regarding technology.
Ok, bom, então eu gostaria de agradecer, Dante.
Well, Dante and Juliana, thank you very much. It was so generous in answering all the questions. We know that there are many more questions that you all forwarded, but all the comments and the points approached will certainly be analyzed and seen by all the Amaggi team. Thank you very much, and also for our next events. It's important to bring new issues and topics for the next events. Thank you very much, Juliana. Well, we will follow. Before we close, I would like to invite you to remember some main topics we presented today. Amaggi understands the importance of its role to really improve its value change. Carbon net zero is expressed embracing the science-based targets with business ambition for 1.5 and being a moment for race to zero, step by step, consistent to reach decarbonization by 2035 and net emissions zero. This is a challenge to be overcome. Investment, technology, innovation in a regenerative and low-carbon agriculture that preserves forests, water, soil, and biodiversity. The commitment goes beyond operation. The goal of Amaggi is to reach a free of deforestation and conversion-free agriculture, monitoring 100% of the direct and indirect suppliers. Origins, a program to guarantee the origin that is 100% digital, zero deforestation conversion, seeing the stock of carbon and preserved areas. The ESG goals have been worked closely for all commitments proposed may really be reached. The results show that Amaggi has a path traced towards its future, giving total transparency to its action with a report of annual development. And these challenges won't be reached alone. It will continue working with other players of its value chain. And in this way, it produces, innovates, and values life in harmony with the land and people. I would like to remind you that we will send an email with all the content of this event and of our commitments to be accessed. We thank you who invested your time to be here with us this morning, knowing all the commitments of Amaggi. I remain here. I thank you for the participation, this connection, next opportunity. We will see each other again. On behalf of Amaggi, have a great day and see you next time.